Next up is Representative Bahr from East Bethel. He's going to come and speak and answer some questions if you have them.
Woo! Let's hear it for our president. Woo! Trump, 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 Trump. Woo!
Sorry, I can't stand still. Thank you, Deron. He made a lot of good points. We don't know our U.S. Constitution. Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution guarantees every state in the Union a Republican form of government. Our governor has never, ever referred to us as anything other than a democracy. Yep. Do you know the difference between a democracy and a republic? Yeah. We got the democracy part right, mob rule. Yeah. So the governor's advocating mob rule over a limited government, because in a republic, the government is only allowed to operate or enact legislation or rule, edict, govern over the things that were granted to them. If it wasn't granted, it's reserved to the people. So the guy sitting down the road here at the other end of the mansion across town, or in this end of the building, likes mob rule and doesn't want to be limited by you. Yes.
Yeah, come on.
If we go back to the federal guys, Article 1, Section 8 has a list of what they can rule on, what they can make legislation on, what they can act on. When Newt Gingrich took over or was part of the contract with America and took back the federal House for the first time in 45 years, they put a little codicil in there and said all new legislation should be in the beginning part there. It should have, or in the preface, where your constitutional authority is for the bill you're presenting. Take a look at any bill that comes up right now. 99.567% of those are Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15. Also, referred to by Patrick Henry as the Good and Plenty Clause. James Madison called that an enacting clause, which is where Deron was talking about, go back and read what these guys who wrote the Constitution said it meant. It didn't change. The words on the paper haven't changed. The lexicon might have changed, but we have activist judges who have gone in and systematically changed your governing documents to allow your government to get away with anything they damn well please. Does anybody think that a former Speaker of the House, Minnesota Speaker of the House, is going to be a nonpartisan Supreme Court justice? How can that man possibly go from being hyperpartisan to nonpartisan and rule on the Constitution when his whole life has been around finding ways to circumvent or enact a specific policy, idealism, or ideology, etc.? How can that possibly be? I have sat on the floor of this chamber and I have watched colleagues of mine make reference to socialism. Do you know what the response is from the other side? They'll raise a clenched fist in solidarity. How is that abiding by your oath of office to defend the Constitution, that you swear an oath to defend this thing, and then sit in the very chamber that you're supposed to be doing that and advocate its overthrow? How in God's name is this right? Vote them out. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about those mail-in ballots a little bit, eh?
Yeah.
So we have a can here. The New House Republican Caucus and a few other people have signed on to this. There's a lawsuit that we are pushing to prevent the certification of the Minnesota election until we have a little bit better look at what's going on. So anyway, here's a can. This young lady will be making sure the can goes to the right people to pay for the lawyer to help preserve election integrity. I just read something on the way down here this morning I thought was kind of interesting too. Pennsylvania, it had a list of actual election day ballots, Biden, Trump, and a total. And it had mail-in ballots, Trump, Biden, total. And then it had the state of Pennsylvania said they sent out 1.4 million mail-in ballots. That's what they mailed out. Problem comes in when you add the Biden and the Trump mail-in ballots together, it was over 2 million. Right. Way 2.5. Way over 2 million. It was almost an extra million ballots. Can't possibly see a problem with that, can you? Election integrity. That's the cornerstone to a free people. If you can't vote them out of office because you can't have an election that you trust, what do you have left?
Tyranny.
Our mob rule, our democracy, a tyranny. Yes, sir, I'm right with you. I think we're at about 1765, 1766 right now. Dion kind of alluded to something. Any of you familiar with the Black Robe Regiment?
Yes.
That's where he's at. That's exactly what he's talking about. Those are the people that stirred the passions. The pastors got in the pulpit and they talked about freedom and liberty and how a government steals not only your freedom and liberty, but by doing that, they'll steal your soul. Is that what we want?
No.
Are we really a free people?
Yes.
Tell me what you can do without the government interfering in your life.
I cannot wear a mask.
You cannot wear a mask, and Steve Simon can send Keith Ellison over and give you a fine. So you've got a choice. You've got a choice of giving up your money to take your mask off. So how many of you'd like to go out to dinner or maybe to a bar, have a drink, an adult beverage,
Youth sports.
hang out with some friends, maybe shoot a game of pool or darts? Did you catch that a couple weeks ago, last week in the last round of orders, executive orders there, King Timothy sent out, that COVID hangs around dartboards and pool tables. It can tell time. Did you know that? 10 o'clock, it knows it can grab you at 10 o'clock.
Very smart virus. Starts at 10:01.
COVID got a Timex.
Rolex.
Yeah, so about 2-3 days later, they figured out that, that was kind of dumb, so they just closed the bars and the restaurants and put those people right out of business. 4 more weeks.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, and then we're going to be, oh, gee whiz, we're right on top of Christmas. We can't possibly have you go into a bar or a restaurant where you might catch the COVID.
No family get-togethers either.
Yeah, how about that one family at Thanksgiving and no more than 10 people? Yeah, okay.
What's next?
We did it anyway.
So you've got the key right there, my man. Whoever said we did it anyway, you've got the key.
That's right.
It's called civil disobedience.
That's right.
That's your no mask. That's your I'm getting together with my friends and I don't give a damn what you say, King Timothy. It's kind of like King George in the old days. King George, you can send out all your edicts and you can come try and collect my money and you can come try and take this, that, and the other thing. But, at the end of the day, I'm still a free man and I still have choice. I can decide what I'm going to surrender to you and what I'm not going to surrender to you.
Hitler won't.
We used to think of ourselves as a free people. In a lot of ways, I think of that as probably one of the master strokes of propaganda from our ruling elites. They control all the bars and restaurants via business tax, our business license. If you wanted to open your bar, try and get a liquor distributor to come bring you a restock there if you get your liquor license suspended. It's not going to happen. We control the distributors very tightly, so there's only a handful in the state through legislation. And if you try and open that up to even adding a few microbrews in there, some of the smaller distillers, You'd swear you were trying to, I don't know, run over little babies and cats and kittens and everything else, the way the distributors go nuts. Try and get rid of a licensing, any type of a license. Try and provoke. I had a bill my freshman year that would have gotten rid of 3. Count them, 1, 2, 3 state employees that were duplicating something that the federal government mandates. I come out of the trucking industry, so it was a transportation thing. Federal government mandates X. The state has a slightly different requirement, but we have 3 people that go around and enforce that. Would have eliminated 3 employees. Holy smokes, you would have thought I was like asking for the world. You can't cut government. We need those people. We need them to go out and inspect the inspectors and make sure the inspectors are inspecting you correctly. And by the way, we're going to charge you to let us come and inspect you and send our inspectors in to inspect you to make sure you're doing it the way we think you should. Got a bill that I kind of like this one. Cosmetology. For 3 years now, I've been asking women, the cosmetologist you go to, how did you find her? Him, whichever. I've had both. Word of mouth. You didn't find it by that government license that they had to go pay $90 a year to keep. You surely didn't get that from, you might have got the Yelp. That's kind of a word of mouth. But you didn't get it by the beauty school they attended or, cosmetology training. So I want to get rid of the cosmetology license and turn it into a health board just to make sure that, you don't have cockroaches running around when you're in there getting your hair cut, that kind of thing. Just cleanliness. Kind of like we do in the restaurant. We don't have a licensing board to say you're an adequate chef, that you're going to eat all this stuff correctly. You can't even get a hearing on a bill like that that's going to actually eliminate a piece of government. We have all kinds of, me and my colleagues in the new House Republican caucus, we have bills all over the place to downsize and eliminate pieces of government. Think we can get a hearing on any of those? Think we can even get a Senate author on half of them? Are you really free? Are your representatives doing what you asked them to do? Are you holding them accountable? How do you vote them out when you got a mail-in ballot?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's
1765, 1766. We are there, my friends.
Minnesota.
You can't hold them accountable at the ballot box anymore because you don't trust the ballot box.
Right. Yeah. So now what?
We wouldn't be here today if we trusted the ballot box.
Right.
This group is proof. There's groups all over the country that are doing the same thing that you're doing here today. There's lawsuits from one end of the union to the other end of the union trying to get an accurate vote count. But we have mail-in ballots, what was it, Milwaukee, about 188,000 that had one vote on the whole ballot for the President of the United States, and it was all of them were Biden, 100% Biden. You really think that was right?
Come on. A bunch of crap.
I mean, I get it's Milwaukee, and it might be downtown, inner city, blah, 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 but none of them voted for a state rep or an attorney general or anything else that was on the ballot? Nothing? They voted for the president, and they all voted for the same guy? Really?
What a coincidence.
Yeah. You couldn't have, tried to fake that out a little bit? But in reality, they ran out of time, is what it was. Trump was winning Wisconsin, and they needed to generate some votes for Biden. So they went in and they filled out a whole bunch of mail-in ballots, and then they went and found people that didn't actually vote, and they shoved them in through the system, and then they dumped them in the ballot box with all the rest of them. You can't tell the difference. You can't go back and pull them out because we don't have provisional ballots, which is like fighting words in that building. God forbid we'd actually want to go back and verify, since we have same-day registration, God forbid we would actually want to verify these people are eligible to vote before we throw their vote in the ballot box. Election integrity. It all comes back to that. And when you don't have election integrity and you don't trust the people that are governing, ruling over you, you don't have a lot of choices left. Yeah, how are you going to get that passed through a Democrat-controlled House? Another one of those little tricks. As long as they have one branch, you won't get it through. Anybody remember 2012? We put that on the ballot. Tried to get voter ID, a part of the constitutional amendment thing there. Didn't fare too well. Got gay marriage, though. I think they got the votes backwards on that one. But, I don't know. I probably rambled on long enough today. I could probably go on for a few more hours on how your freedom's being taken away from you on a daily basis. How about one of my favorites where your freedom is taken away is the Commerce Clause. So you go back and you read the original documents. The Commerce Clause says that we're supposed to make commerce regular among the several states. And if you use today's lexicon with what they actually meant then in 1788, 89, when they ratified that document, you actually read what they wrote about it, what they said about it. That's a free trade zone. Each state was charging import, export taxes as things passed through. So it was to make commerce regular, or free trade zone. Then we go back to about 1932 or 33, Filburn v. Willard, I believe. Wilbur. The Supreme Court, those activist judges, turned that on its head and said, hey, this guy's growing wheat on his own land and he's not putting it into the market. Ergo, he is changing the market and doing things to commerce. So the federal government now has authority to regulate commerce, not make commerce regular, but to regulate it. That opened the door for all of the business licenses, all of the, you can't do business here, but you can do it over here. You can only do the business we, the ruling elites, will let you do. Yeah. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you exactly what you got to do to get them out, but if there's an old saw, there's 4 things we can do. Soapbox, which I'm standing on. Ballot box, which we don't have a whole lot of integrity. Jury box, which is letting Simon take you to give you a ticket and you get to go to court. And
Bullet box. And the bullet box.
The what? The bullet box?
What?
Cartridge box. Now I'd probably get in trouble for saying those are the four ways, because I'm going to get accused of wanting to start a revolution and overthrow our government, and that is not my intention.
Well, that's my intention.
Each of you is free to do as you so please, because I believe in freedom. I believe in individual choice. I believe if you want to go downtown and shoot a game of darts with your buddies and hang out with the COVID guy after 10 o'clock, that's your business, not mine. That's not King Timothy's business. That's not anybody else's business. It's yours. A free society, you get to decide what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, as long as you're not infringing on anybody else's freedom. Your freedom stops where theirs starts. There's a nice happy line in there. You can't go out and say, you know what, I'm gonna party downtown in my apartment down here and have 100 of my closest friends over, and we're gonna turn the boombox all the way up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have violated somebody else's freedom at that point. With freedom comes responsibility, and when we abdicate that responsibility to a king, a tyrant, another government, to keep us safe, to keep us secure, to keep us anything, we have surrendered our freedom. Every time we abdicate a little bit of our own personal responsibility for anything, we've abdicated freedom. I say choose freedom, my friends. Choose freedom. Hang on Yeshua. Pray. Choose freedom. Have a good day.